Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lili Nishmas Imi Verossi Rus Bas Mordechai. I didn't think I would ever say this. Live from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Unbelievable. Omar Rebbe Yochanan. We're holding the Kuf Beis on Beis. That's right. 14 lines from the bottom. Omar Rebbe Yochanan Leisoichal HaNefesh Im HaBasar Ze Eiver Menachai. So if you look over here, you might be able to see it on the screen. The pasuk of Eiver Menachai is Leisoichal HaNefesh Im HaBasar. We take the word nefesh, we split it in two. HaNefesh Im HaBasar, nefesh, something that's still alive, but when you cut it off, it's not alive anymore. That's Eiver Menachai. The next pasuk, Ubasar Basada Treifa Leisechelu. Just want to see. Yeah. The first pasuk actually is the in Parashat Shavua. We just read it on Shabbos. The makar of Eiver Menachai. But the next pasuk is in Shmois. So Rabbi Yochanan holds Zeh Basar Menachai. It's different than Eiver Menachai. Eiver Menachai means a whole limb with the sinews, with the muscles, with the bones. This is Machlokes Rishonim. What if you have an Eiver that has no bones, like the heart, a liver? Okay, but Basar is different. Just a piece of flesh, a geshmak, a piece of steak, without any bones, without anything. Minachai, from a live animal. So from this pasuk of Basar Basada Treifa L'Yisachelu, that this animal is a treifa, shouldn't eat from it. It's a Basar Menachai, Ubasar Minat Treifa. Two halachas. Basar from a living animal, and Basar meat from a treifa. Why? Because what he learns is Ubasar Basada, and then he learns Treifa L'Yisachelu. So the pasuk is telling us two different things. There's a Ubasar Basada, and Treifa L'Yisachelu is a different halacha of Treifa. Fine. That's Rabbi Yochanan. So let's pay attention. Rabbi Yochanan says Eiver Menachai. The pasuk of Eiver Menachai only teaches one halacha. The pasuk of Basar Basada Treifa teaches two halachas. Rish Lakish says the opposite. Let's see if we can get there. Oh. The pasuk of Eiver Menachai teaches us two halachas according to Rish Lakish. The pasuk of Basar Basada Treifa is only one halacha. Let's see inside. Two halachas. The first pasuk teaches us Eiver Menachai, but also Basar Menachai, which are very similar. That's the pasuk of Eiver Menachai, says Rish Lakish. It's only talking about an animal. What's a treifa? What's a treifa? We had a whole parak here. An animal that's not going to live according to one shita for 12 months. It has a hole in the heart. It has, we did a live shechita demonstration in Eretz Yisrael, the sirchus on the lung, different things, different holes, different things. Okay. Now, ochal Eiver Menachai ubasar Menachai. Let's look at the chart for a second. Let's look at this one. If you ate Eiver Menachai and Basar Menachai, it's two different psukim. You see, Eiver Menachai is one pasuk according to Rabbi Yochanan, and Basar Menachai is another pasuk. So obviously, according to Rabbi Yochanan, you be over on two different lavan. Yeah, there's a hasra, Eidim, the whole thing. They warn you. Now let's go to Rish Lakish for a second. Look at Rish Lakish. Basar Menachai and Eiver Menachai is in one pasuk. So if it's in one pasuk, you only over one. Very pasuk. Acha Basar Menachai uBasar Menatreifa. Oh, so we're in Rish Lakish right now. How many are you over now? Basar Menachai, meat from a live animal, and Basar from a treifa. Two psukim, chayiv two. Let's go to Rabbi Yochanan now. Basar Menachai and Basar Treifa, how many chayiv? One. It's all. Yeah? When you have these slides, it's a lot easier, no? It makes it clear. Ochal Basar Menachai uBasar Menatreifa. Oh. Basar Menachai. Did I do that? I did that. Two lines from the bottom. Without looking at any charts, what should it be? Eivim and Achai is one pasuk. Treifa is for sure another pasuk. Nobody argues that those are two different psukim. Reb Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Here, I'm going to show you Rish Lakish now. Eivim and Achai is one pasuk, and Basa Treifa is another pasuk. Eivim and Achai is one pasuk, Basa Treifa. So l'chayra, if you eat those two, you should be chayv two. Okay, that it's two different psukim according to everybody. According to Reb Yochanan, it's two different psukim, chayv two. Daf Kuf Gimel Amud Aleph. If he ate Eivim and Achai, he ate a whole limb, he ripped off the leg of a chai, and it's a treifa. It says before that's pashat chayv two. The problem is Reb Shimon Lakish Omar in chayv alachas. Oivei, what do? Why chayv one? According to Reb Yochanan's pashat, it's two different psukim, chayv two different isur. Reb Shimon Lakish kasha. Why in the world Reb Lakish? Let's go back to Reb Lakish here. Eivim and Achai is the pasuk on the right. Basa Treifa is the pasuk on the left. How could Rish Lakish hold the only chayv one? Omer Rav Yosef Likasha. Kam bebehema achas, kam b'shtei behemois. There's a difference between one animal and two animals. B'shtei behemois v'chayv shtayim. If it comes from two animals, there's a treifa and one animal. And there's an Eivim and Achai from a second animal. Okay, chayv two. B've'ema achas pligi. But if it comes from one animal, that's where Shlokish argues. Why? B've'ema achas b'may pligi. The problem is, what's the difference if it's one animal? If it's one, it's still two psukim that tell you you're not allowed to do these two isurim. So you should be chayv two malchus. Why does Shlokish say that if it comes from one animal, you're potter? You're only chayv one. Omar Abaya, we have a few shots in here. Okay? Hold cup here. Very simple. Everything is simple. Omar Abaya going shenitrifo in yitzias ruba. Givaldik. This animal was born a treifa. But when does the Eivim and Achai happen? So it depends. There was a machlokes that we spoke about yesterday. Is a live animal the default of a live animal? How do you say default in Hebrew? There's a shiloh when an animal is born, do we view it as if it's cut up into pieces? Cut up, that's the default. It's chopped up. Why? Because every animal, what do you do with an animal? At the end of Lachamei V'Esrim of the animal, what do you do with it? You chop it up into pieces. So when it's born, chopped up into pieces, do we view it as if it's chopped up into pieces? Nafkemina, that it's an Eiver Menachai the moment it's born. Each Eiver is an Eiver Menachai. You don't view it as it's one animal. No, it's parts. So when this animal, Abai says, is born a treifa. That means treifa came first. Now, if Eiver Menachai comes after it's born, when you rip off a limb, that's a problem. Ein Isser Chalal Isser. But if the Eiver Menachai happens when it's born, so when it's born it's a treifa, when it's born it's Eiver Menachai. So it happens simultaneously. Okay, so let's see inside. It became a treifa, the birth caused it to become a treifa. Ripped something off, its lung got punctured while it was born. So Mela is born a treifa. The second it's born, it's considered that each aver is by itself, and therefore there's the aver menachai the moment it's born. The moment it's born, it's also treifa, so it happens simultaneously. V'isur treifa, v'isur aver, so they come together. And the other Vadam says that's the whole machlokes here. He says no, an animal is not born aver menachai. Treifa came first, and aver menachai comes second. You can't put one isur on top of another isur. Let's see what he did here. I'm seeing this for the first time. I apologize because, like I said, on the plane I had internet, but it just wouldn't download. It was born. You see, it's nitrifa. It has a nail inside its stomach, so it's treif. And aver menachai happened together in one box. The Lishoka says no. Aver menachai happens later. The treifa happened first. Aver menachai happens much later. So since it happened much later, you can't put one isser on top of another isser. Once this piece of meat has the isser to it, that's it. It's one isser. You can't put another one afterwards. Now we're going to go and say either everybody holds like this or everybody holds like that, and then we'll come up with another teretz. Everybody holds that an animal when it's born is not Ever Menachai each Ever. Oh, so this is also a story that we had yesterday and the day before. Ever Menachai is a very, very strong Isser. How do I know? Because it was Asr to Bnei Noach. Before Matan Torah it was already Asr. So since it's so powerful, it could apply itself on top of another Isser. So the animal was born a Treifa. Later on it became Ever Menachai, but it's such a powerful Isser that even a Goy before Matan Torah was Asr in it. So Mela, I could put it on top of another smaller Isser. Ma'asava also Isser Ever Chayla is a Treifa. You could do Isser Chayla when it's a strong one. Ma'asava also Isser Ever Chayla is a Treifa. The boys him in another pshat. The good news is if you're not paying attention now, we're going to do this whole sugi again, like a freebie. So either you pay attention now and you don't have to pay attention later, or you can pay attention both. You can do whatever you want. The boys saying the kuli amma be'im v'chayel le'voim imedes. No, everybody holds that an animal is born as an Ever Menachai. So then what's the problem? If it was born a treifa and is born an Ever Menachai, so they both come together. No, we're not going with a bayah. The treifa happened later on in its life. Once the animal is born as an Ever Menachai, can you add another Isser called treifa on top of the Ever Menachai? You could do Isser Chal Isser. He always knows there's no problem with Isser Chal Isser. It's born as a Ever Menachai. Later on in life it became a treifa. Add another Isser. Why not give him 80 Malchus instead of 40? And the other man says, no, Ein Isser Chal Isser, you can only give him one. Rav Amar, Kegoin, here I have a chart here for this one. What does he say? Kegoin Shetolash Mimeno Ever Utrafa Boy. As he made the Ever Menachai, that's how he became a treifa. By pulling off its leg over the knee, let's say. Minar Kuva Lamala we learned. Is a treifa. Okay, so as he pulls off the Ever, he becomes a treifa. An animal is not born as an Ever Menachai. Therefore, Isser Ever Isser Treifa about the Adadi Kasim. When the animal is 5 months old, somebody ripped its leg off. As he ripped his leg off, he became a treifa and it's Ever Menachai in 1 second. But wait a minute, if he's born with an Ever Menachai, so it didn't become a treifa together with Ever Menachai. But if he's not born with the Ever Menachai, you hold that he's not Leivar Memedes. So the treifa and the Ever Menachai happen simultaneously later on in its life. So we had one pshat that it happened simultaneously when it's born. Rava says no, it happened simultaneously later on in its life. Here comes the freebie. It's the same sugya over again, just talking about something similar. But it's the same idea over and over. Listen to this. The guy wants to be over. He's like a bad guy. He's having a bad day. He wants to show Hashem, This guy, he wants to eat chaylev from a live animal and treifa. So how many yisurim is he over? L'chari should be over 3. So the Gemara says no, he's only over 2. And we have to understand why. According to Reb Eli Stefansky, chaylev minachai, minat treifa. Again, it's chaylev. It's fat that's forbidden. The animal is still alive, so it's mamish ever minachai. And not only that, the animal is a treifa. So you're over on bus of a soda treifa. Only chayv 2. Why 2? It should be 3. Shani oimer shalish. What does shani oimer shalish mean? I know when the name of Rabbi Yochanan, the Rabbi Yochanan said 3. So why are you saying in the name of Rabbi Yochanan only 2? Itmanami. It says Mefurish. Rabbi Yochanan holds shalish. And Rabbi Chia Barabba says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan Stein. So which one is it? So we're doing the whole sugya. Rabbi say sorry. Some people are going to enjoy it. It's mamish a freebie. It's easy now. What happened was the moment it was born, it was a treifa. Memela, that's a machlokes. Is the Ever Menachai? Did it happen when it was born, or does the Eber Minachai happen later? So if it happens later, you're not going to be over an Eber Minachai. That's why you're only over 2 of Eres, not 3. At the moment he's born, there's Eber Menachai. So Mamela, the Issa Chelev, Issa Ever, Issa Trefa, all 3 of them happen simultaneously. But they are done, Castle. You're holding? Okay, so the other man says no, an animal's not born with Eber Menachai. So what was this animal born with? Chelev and Trefa. So Mamela only over on 2. This is a chayil. This is a trefa. Ikar is a loy osi chayil. The boy is the kulam behema bechayil lavle v'rimedes. An animal is not born with Eber Menachai. And so what's the shayla? Same thing like we had in the sugi right before. And it literally goes in the same order also. Can Eber Menachai jump on top of the other 2 yisurim? Why should Eber Menachai go on top of 2 other yisurim? Because it's a issa chomer. How do I know it's issa chomer? Because Bnei Noach were chayiv in it. It's not a good enough reason to put it on top. Or you could go the other route. Say no. Everybody holds an animal is born with Eber Menachai. No, so if the animal is born with Eber Menachai, so it's born with Eber Menachai, so you should be over in the Eber Menachai. The treva happened when it was 5 months old. So according to this pshat, it's a little different. Eber Menachai for sure over. Chelev for sure over. The question is, are you over the 3rd Isser of treifa? And what's the question? Can treifa go on top of Eber Menachai and Chelev? You see that treifa goes on top of Chelev. How do I see it? Because it says in the pasuk, look at this pasuk, the Gemara says, "V'chelev nevela, v'chelev treifa yiyasal chava, v'choyloi sechlu." Why does the Torah repeat itself? V'choyloi sechlu. Because if you do eat a chelev of a nevela, you chayiv 2. You're not only chayiv for nevela, you also chayiv. You're not only chayiv for chelev, you also chayiv for nevela. So that's the Gemara says same idea by us. From the fact that the Torah says in pasuk Chavdalet over here, that you're over 2 isurim, not just chelev, but you're also over a nevela, you eat chelev of a dead animal. And I'm saying this for you guys here in Brazil, because maybe somebody didn't hear it. There's a lot of confusion when we're learning this. So I want to say this bekitzer. Every animal that dies without shechita is an avela. And it gives tumah. So a dead horse gives tumah, and a dead cat gives tumah. And so does a dead sheep and a dead cow. They give tumah. But if you shecht a sheep and you shecht a cow, there's no tumah. What about a mouse? Does a mouse give tumah? Obviously. It's a sheretz. What about... So in shrotzim, the shmoyne shrotzim, they give tumah. Let's say a snake is a sheretz, doesn't give tumah. So in the shrotzim, that's where people get confused. But in animals, a lion gives off tumah. A dead elephant gives off tumah. And even more than that, we have to remember, dead cows give off tumah if they weren't shechted. Oh. So Mela says the Gemara, it's a dead cow. But the dead cow has inside of it fat that's also for you to eat. Those fat, if you eat that fat, you're over on 2. Chelev and nevela. So Mela by also is a treifa. So by also when a person ate treifa, chelev, ever menachai, the is of treifa, just like nevela, it's in the same pasuk. You see this? I really should have underlined the chelev treifa yasa. The chelev nevela, the chelev treifa is in the same pasuk. So treifa could apply itself to nevela. So too treifa also applies itself to chelev and ever menachai, and that's why you're over 3. This pasuk is special. The chelev works like that. Why? Because there are what animal you're allowed to eat all its chelev? Huh? You guys don't know? The chaya. What's a chaya? Like a deer, venison. You're allowed to eat all the chaylev. So since the Torah gave it a heter, that's different than treifa. Aval eiver lehuda meklaloi loy. So I would say that treifa, it's not chal on it at all. Ki asa, we're holding. Ki asa Avdimi. Here we go. Super interesting questions now. You hear what's going on here? It's crazy. You take an Eiver min achai, a kazai is this big of Eiver min achai, chop it in half, and eat one half, and then eat another half. If you were to ask me before I prepared this Gemara, even though I gave share on this last time, I would say, why not? What's the difference? Listen to what Rashi says, it's very important. That's what you said. You said all achilas in the Torah, you don't matzah, you don't have to eat the whole kazayis, swallow it in one shot. You take a half a kazayis, put it in your mouth, half a kazayis, and you yoitza. So why all of a sudden now not? Or the chidushu, says Rashi, explains beautifully. Because this whole thing is a chiddush. When you eat bones of a treifa animal, you're not chayiv anything. You can eat the bones of a horse, you're not chayiv. But the chiddush of Eiver min achai is that you're over if you eat the bones and the sinews of the animal together with the meat. So it's such a chiddush. Maybe, listen, and it's not a maybe. He says, yeah, that's how it is. It's the chiddush. Achila means in one shot, half not, and usually you have to come on to a chiddush. The whole Eiver min achai is a chiddush. Maybe half and half you're not over. Omarlei, listen to this. Says Rabbi Yochanan, the Gol Adar, potter. If you eat one half and then another half, even though it's Terch Kidei Achilas Pras, you do it within a few seconds, you potter. So he asks him, and what if he did it in his mouth? He put in a whole kazayis in his mouth, and in his mouth he chopped it with his teeth, and then he ate half and half. Omarlei chayiv, that you chayiv. That's also not so posh, says the Gemara. Also, Rabban Omar, potter. If you divide it up outside, I agree with Rabbi Yochanan that if you didn't eat the whole kazayis in one shot, you potter. But if you did inside your mouth, I have a machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan, listen to this. This is very important. Rabbi Yochanan, this is what I was telling Mati before. Rabbi Yochanan says the main part of eating is what your mouth tastes. Your taste buds. What's achila? What happens afterwards? Once it goes down your throat, it doesn't matter to us. In your mouth. So Lamaisa, he put a whole kazayis in his mouth. He enjoyed a whole kazayis. It needs to go into your stomach. You have to be satiated. And how did it go into your stomach? The wrong way. Half and half. Half and half is not good enough. Elo, ask the Gemara a bottom question. Let me just show you this.
How does it ever happen?
Oh, that's exactly what the Gemara is asking now. Ask the Gemara a bottom question. Once you chew it in your mouth, how are you going to eat? You have to chew. And when you chew, you cut it in half. So in the mouth itself, you broke it up. So, and then once you swallowed it, you're telling me it has to be in the stomach, it has to be whole. Mamash reminds me of my mother. I guess all your mothers did this. When you used to fight with your brother, that your piece is broken, the cookie's broken, but in your stomach, it breaks up anyways. I hated when she said it. In your mouth, it breaks up anyways. Oh, Taka, it breaks up anyways. So you're not eating kizayis. There's a little tiny bone that has a little flesh on the kapayerach, on the round part where Mitai ben David, if you remember from a few days ago, he went like this, the calf. So there's a little bone over there, and that you could eat in one shot. If you cut it, he argues on this whole thing. Not true, he says. And the halacha, it seems like him, it says there's a tziyun over here, there's Shulchan Aruch. If you break it up outside of the body, and you eat half and half, you're chayiv. Just because they're not close to each other, it's two pieces, it doesn't mean that it's missing in the maisa and the action of eating a kazayis. He ate a kazayis, and so what if it was split? Omer Reb Shimon Lakish, I hope you're not eating stuff now. This is ganz gewaldig. You have to eat a kazayis. Now, if a piece gets stuck between your teeth and you didn't floss, so you don't have a kazayis. Why? Because you have to swallow a whole kazayis. You didn't swallow a kazayis. You swallowed minus whatever's between your teeth. We just said, according to Rish Lakish, right? According to Reb Yochanan, it's what you taste in your mouth. But according to Rish Lakish, you have to swallow it. It never went down your pipes. It's got stuck in your teeth. Reb Yochanan says, no, you have to taste it. Afterwards, it went between your teeth, okay, but you're already over on the kazayis when you tasted it. Everybody agrees that you're not over if it's between the teeth. How do you say chanichayim in Portuguese? Chanichayim is like the palate up there. So the chanichayim on the palate on top. Marsav hare nehena groin v'kazayis. L'maiso yarana. Marsav achila b'meyo b'yinon. That's shinayim for sure not. But the chanichayim, that's where you have ana, and is that enough for anything? Like you said, nevela. But we're not talking about not to confuse dialogue. Every menachai, nevela, chelak, all these things. Yeah. Omer Rabasi, Omer B'yochna. Ochal chatzi zayis v'hikiyoi. Oh, gishmak. Some people, you just hear the word, you want to throw up. A person ate a half a gazayis and he vomited it up. V'chozar v'ochal chatzi zayis acher. And then he went and he ate another chatzi zayis. Chayev. My timer. Harei nehena groine v'kazayis. At the end of the day, he had a na in his throat. So Rashi says over here, V'tam shnei chatzois zeisim. V'hol the Rebbe asi pli other Rebdimi v'rov and the Amri le'ed mishmei Rebbe Yochanan cholka b'chutz potter. The question that everybody should be asking is, didn't Rebbe Yochanan say a minute ago that if you split half and then another half, you're not chayiv at all? And all of a sudden now he ate a half and he ate another half and now he's chayiv. He says, he's mechulak. He argues on that Gemara over there. And Rashi just goes on to explain something very special. That what we're talking about, enjoying it, benefiting it, like a piece of chocolate in your mouth. Right? He already tasted the two halves. So what if it's one after another? He had a good anah in his mouth. It was still within the amount of time that he's supposed to eat it, within 3 to 9 minutes. Now Rashi is mechadish that when, according to the shita, that you have to have a benefit in your kishkas, then it means to be satiated in the mayim, not to taste it in the mayim. So if a half went in, and then you spit it up, and then another half went in, that's not satiated in the mayim, and that's why. And on that, it's considered only eating a half a gazayis. Says the Gemara, Reb Elazar Rabasi. Ochal chatzi zayis. So Reb Elazar asked Rabasi. So we have to remember this. Reb Elazar seems to be the Talmud of Rabasi, the Rebbe. Ochal chatzi zayis v'kiyoi v'chozar v'acholoi mau. Oy vavoy. Michael Mebarley. What's the question? You have equal. You don't have equal. What's the question? Whether that's considered digesting it or not. B'tiboyle kizayis. So then he should have asked why half a kizayis and ask on a kizayis. If a person ate a full kizayis and he's chayiv malchus, and then he threw it up and he ate it again without knowing, he didn't chav that he threw it up for whatever reason. Is he chayiv 2 malchus on the same kizayis? Hello, yibasa gwein azlina, yibasa me'ev azlina. V'tishneim the Rasi. So you should bring a raya from a Rasi that what? That has to do with the mouth, with tasting it. Says Gemara, Rabasi Gemara Yakelei. So Gemara tells us the Maisa here. Rabasi forgot his learning. We see it by Reb Yosef. A lot of, you get older, unfortunately. He forgot his learning. V'asa Reb Elazar lat kurei. So, you didn't want to be rude, Reb Elazar. You didn't want to oh, you said it. So he, sometimes when people forget, a little hint, that's all you need. A little something. So then he said, Lo chatzi zayis acher. Why do you need another half a zayis? You should have asked in the whole zayis. We learned 2 things from here. First of all, the fact that if you throw up a whole kazayis and eat again, you chayiv 2, you see that that's not considered digesting. What's the word I'm looking for? Digested. V'shamina mino, The harinena greater kazayis. And the reason why you're chayiv, you need two things. First of all, it has to be that it's not digested, and also you have to have anah both times. So you see both things. Ishtik v'loy omar le v'loy midi. So Ravasi didn't answer him. Omar le, so Reb Elazar said, Moifes hadar, you're the Gadol hadar. You gave him a little covet. You're Gadol hadar. Lizin sagina amar kamei de Reb Yochanan. Didn't you say this halacha in front of Reb Yochanan? V'amar lach, harinena greater kazayis. I'm going to remind you that you yourself said this to Reb Yochanan, and Reb Yochanan said you had enough from the kazayis. In other words, he's masking Yichayv too. Hadron aloch gidanoshe, hadron aloch gidanoshe, haraloch gidanoshe yishkoyach. Have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shiur today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.